Hello everyone, I'm Chrissy Seaton and welcome to my channel, My Noahide Family. I've had a short break for a few weeks and I'm going to be resuming my usual weekly videos. I am working on a new series which I'm fairly certain you'll all enjoy, but you'll have to wait till that series begins. It's a surprise. I want to thank all my subscribers and encourage those of you who are new to my channel to subscribe. By all means, press the like button, leave a comment, and your comments are always most welcome. They do help me a great deal. Now, it's my little darling dog. Today's video, I have pondered upon this for some time and I just feel that I would like to mention it in this video that I'm doing for you this evening. Now, it's entitled, Is Society Now Godless? And we could ponder and debate that for some time. But I just want to give you a few points to think about. And I have to mention here that my mind has been stirred up to finally do this video because of a recent class that Rabbi Dr. Shimon Cowan of Melbourne, Australia gave. And so I already had some notes made from some time ago, but I thought, no, I need to finish those notes off and add a few things to it. So that's what I've decided. And the house was nice and quiet right up until I pushed the start button and my dogs decided to make a noise. Never mind, that's okay. We can manage that. We can deal with that. So the question is society now godless? So is our world or our country, particularly in Australia, I'm addressing at the moment, are we becoming a godless society or has it already occurred? And as I go along with these notes of mine, I'm sure it will make you pause and give thought to some things. And that is my main motive for doing this. I think there are things that we need to consider, especially if we are practicing Noahides or people who are new to following the Noahide laws. So let's look at a few things here. So when I said, is our society becoming or well on the way to becoming godless? Now let's look at these things. In Australia, we have what is now called abortion on demand up to full term. That is a full-term baby that is viable to exist outside the mother's womb. You can decide to have that abortion at full term, in which case the baby, just suppose it is born alive, it can be left there on the bed to expire at its own means. Now that is a major problem. I know that's a major problem for some nursing and medical staff, but of course they can't speak out about these things, or if they do, they're, how shall I say, they're not always very popular in some areas. But that is a major concern. So you can decide to carry this baby full term and then at the last minute decide you're going to abort. I call that irresponsibility in two ways. If you were uncertain about this child, why did you allow yourself to become pregnant in the first place? And secondly, why in heaven's name would you at the end stage then decide to abort it? You know, there's plenty of people out there that would give their eye teeth to adopt a little baby. Think, it's not all about you. It's not all about you. What about that child? So So and then we have the euthanasia, whichever way you call it, voluntary euthanasia. Well, that's suicide, and that's against our divine laws. Or, dare I say, mercy killing. That'll be the next thing. That's murder. It's murder. So we are moving slowly but surely towards a very, very rocky, slippery slope. And we need to think carefully and clearly about these things and how we respond. Now I've got a fly chasing me. We have this gender fluidity. So I'm not too certain how we're supposed to understand or comprehend that. I guess that I can get up today and feel like a woman, tomorrow I want to be a man, or do I take it to further levels, etc. Gender fluidity is the most ridiculous term I've ever heard in my life, and I'm not afraid to say it. It's ridiculous. Gender fluidity. What about, and all authority, apart from all this other things that are going on, any authority is challenged. Any authority that offends some people is challenged. And because they're offended, and they'll pronounce this loud enough, then so you're to be condemned. Do you see where I'm going? So someone in authority that says something they don't like, in other words, they're going to demand retribution, or you're going to be ostracised or condemned, etc. This happens all the time. Pick up the newspapers every day. Mind you, that's if the newspaper or the news channel is telling the truth and not their biased agenda, and that's a whole nother video. So this culture of, how shall I say, I'm offended. The I'm offended culture, it's always very loud, and they cry out. And so because they're offended, we're to be condemned, whoever they perceive has offended us, whether we're talking about a race, or we're talking about education, or we're talking about sexuality, we're talking about religion, whatever it is, doesn't matter. If it offends them, then we are at fault. We're condemned. History is being misrepresented, ignored, or deliberately altered. And that's happening. That's happening. They're putting their own skew on it. And now we come to another problem. Our school systems. We have schools now who are, how shall I say, their culture and their curriculum within their schools, or their particular systems, if they're state schools, public schools, they're scrambling. They're absolutely scrambling to appease the offended. Yes, the offended. They don't bother investigating it, delving into it as much as they should. It's just, suddenly, that's a red flag. We've got to do something about that. That's how morning prayer was removed from the state school system. It offended someone. Well, couldn't they block their ears or turn their face away when the school prayer was being said? Oh, no. They'd still be offended. There'd still be a reason. So we're now at this point where all concept and understanding of a righteous and wholesome society is crumbling. It's crumbling under this adiposity of I'm offended, impulse-driven and questionable individuals and groups. And that's what they are. They're questionable, some of these groups, and their motives. The group motives You must always understand what's behind it. That chip, 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 chip away. What's their larger agenda? There is an agenda that they have. So the concept of basic human decency and values, they're replaced by this my rights. I have a right to say and do as I please, and I demand whatever I want. You know, if I'm offended, I demand you change it. It's about me, so you must comply with my demands. Now, this is starting to sound ridiculous, isn't it? It really is. But sometimes it takes someone to actually say it and to think about it and to point out the absolute nonsensical pathway this is going in. But wait, there's more. We'll get to the bottom of this. Now, we've already probably seen or heard that there's been some books banned, including some children's books, because somebody has been offended, or they how shall I say, they don't represent culture in a respectful manner, or what have you. Well, okay, some books might have used words that you and I wouldn't even use today, but isn't that an opportunity to point out to people that we can all change? We didn't understand that that would be offensive, but it's a good opportunity for you to realise what happened then and now what we're doing now. We would not use that term to signify a particular culture or race of people. See, but you've got to remove it, as though they can't trust anyone to do or make the right choices. It's got to be about me and how loud I yell, and you do as I say. And some of those children's books, incidentally, it is beyond ridiculous even as to why they were pulled off the shelves or they've been censored or what have you. But remember, just keep in the back of your mind, books, banning books. This happened before. Now, just recently, in this last few days, those of you who listen to New Zealand or Australian news would know this, there has been a New Zealand transgender male. In other words, he's a male and has transgendered to a female weightlifter. And he's been allowed to compete in the upcoming Tokyo Olympics as a woman. I'll just say that again. This individual was a male. He's transgendered to a female, and he is been given permission by the IOC, that's the International Olympic Committee, to compete against women in the women's weightlifting. Now, there's been an absolute outcry over this for a number of reasons. If you see a video clip, this person has still got a large male body mass, will have better lung capacity, etc., etc. And on being chosen or allowed to enter the team, it has knocked another very promising young New Zealand girl completely out of contention. That's not right. It's not right. Recently, we've had an uproar about there's an association in Australia called Breastfeeding Mothers Association, a wonderful association. It's been going since I can't remember when, a long time. And now it was told that they have to call it chest feeding people. I mean, this is serious. But credit to Breastfeeding Mothers Association, they've fought back hard and fast, and I hope it's going to be put to ground. But can you, in all honesty, understand how a phrase breastfeeding mothers could offend anyone? What sort of lunacy's going on? I mean, what are these people thinking with? Oh, what are they taking? Or maybe they should be taking some medication. Now, these people who are perpetuating this all-inclusive society, we've had this thrown at us for so long, it's an all-inclusive society. Well, you know, that's an oxymoron. Everybody's included in society, it's not, you know, most normal people include everyone as part of society. That's how normal people behave. But all they're doing is they're actually dividing and destroying the very foundations of what human beings, body and soul was created for. Which brings us to our next question, coming up soon. Now, these half-truths and deceptions, it's all about me, this delusion of self, my rights, I'm offended, my feelings, I feel. It's all seeking to erase the dignity and the respect and God completely. That's what it's seeking to erase and remove God. That's the end product of it. But you've got to go through all those steps to get there in case somebody gets suspicious. They're not going to come out and say, let's pluck. We can't have God in our society. You can't mention God. You can't be a practicing religious person, blah, blah, blah. They're not going to do that. They're too smart for that. So these half-truths and deceptions get bounded around and they come up with a new catchphrase and what shall I say? They have a headline on it and, it's just ridiculous. It just beggars belief, really. So the question now is, what happens to God and those of us who believe in God, practice our faith, when this starts getting pushed back, when God starts getting removed from society? What do you think happens? Well, that's how socialism, communism, the Third Reich, and there's a fourth one rising, trust me. That's when we delve into, it goes beyond banning books and mercy killing. They can't fit into society. They're uncomfortable. Life's not good for them. Let's relieve them of all that. So this is the sort of thing that some of you younger people don't understand. This is how, or you hear of this and you think, oh yeah, that'll never happen again. Well, open your eyes, everybody. It is happening again. This is how it starts, slowly and surely eroding the values and the decencies of our society. And they have to do that. They've got to take out God. They've got to remove God before they can actually have full control. So that brings us up to this. Then what happens to the likes of us who are God-fearing people and want to live in and make our community, our society a better place? What happens to us when we start pushing back? What do you think might happen? We know we've got 7 divine laws, which everyone can live by, or everyone. And they're not unreasonable. They're perfectly reasonable, but God has commanded us that we live by those 7 divine laws. And that is for a harmonious and civil society based on primarily justice, kindness, mercy, and of course that is all encompassed in the 7 Noahide laws. So that's how, that's what people like us who believe in God, who live by the Noahide laws, and Jews, of course, have their 10 laws, their 10 commandments, but we can live harmoniously with everyone in a society if we all just mercy, justice, kindness, don't murder, don't have illicit sexual relationships, don't kill or harm people intentionally, all those things. So when we suggest that this is how a good society should live, we're labelled as religious nutcases. Oh, religious zealots. Oh, ignore them, they're mad, they're this and they're that. And yet, on another hand, we can have a transgender weightlifter allowed to compete with normally born females in a weightlifting competition. It can't get much sillier than that, can it? It cannot. It's reached the zenith of stupidity. So I want you all to think about our freedoms, our freedom of speech, our right to our religion and our faith and our way of life, and a civilized society. We have rights too. It's perhaps we're a little bit more dignified in how we explain those and how we ask for them. But we do have to push back, and we have to push back where we can and where it's reasonable. And I suggest we start with our schools and education system, because that is where the seed of discontent begins. That's where kids are taught all this mumbo jumbo about you can come today, Johnny, as a boy, and tomorrow you'll be Joni. That's all right, this and that. What sort of minds are these kids going to have? I hate to think about the damage, the emotional and mental cruelty that is being subjected to some kids when they're taught taught things that even at their age their minds aren't able to comprehend, etc. So we've got to start having a voice in the school and education system and say there are things you are not going to teach these children because it's of no value in their upbringing, in the society, or for their future. But what you're going to do is start teaching these values. Let's start with how to spell mathematics. It's appalling the level of mathematic ability that some people have when they leave high school. It's absolutely appalling. Never mind about the spelling and the maths and the proper history. History as is factual, not fantasized, made up history and labels, etc. So we need to start being involved. And you younger parents out there, that if you're watching this and you know other parents, you need to instill in them, be seen, be at that school, ask to see that curriculum, ask to see the program your child is learning this term. What are the topics? What I need to know so I can help my child with his homework. I want a detailed account of where the progress is, blah, blah, blah. You have absolutely every right to ask that. Every right. And I urge you all to do it. Start going to the P&C meetings or whatever they call them now. Be seen, be there, and ask questions. Safeguard this next generation and repair your own generation. Start saying enough is enough. I thank you all so much for watching so far, if you've arrived at the end. But these are things that have been stewing inside of me for so long. And I think the straw that broke the camel's back was the weightlifter. I thought, oh, that's it. It's over the fence, gone too far. So we do need, instead of being, we can still be dignified and kind, but there needs to be some sanity brought into some of these decisions. How the IOC could grant that weightlifter permission. And I've got nothing against that transgender weightlifter, but what I want to know is, why does he even think it's remotely fair that his ability and skills and strength, he should be allowed compete with women who, depend on the division there. It's just a physical impossibility. That person was a man for 34 or 37 years or something. I've just forgotten. But can you imagine the body mass? And you can't take that away just because you change gender. It's there. It's in the DNA of the body. It's there. So having said all that, thank you all so much for listening to me. And please remember that I will be starting a new series shortly. And we'll be back on track to have regular weekly videos. Looking forward to it. I thank you all for your support. I get some lovely comments, and I get quite a number of lovely emails. People do email me, and they're very precious. I thank you so much. You're very kind. I'll do my best to make my new series and subsequent videos, try to keep them at a high standard and that are informative and what you want to know about, but also there's always got to be a little surprise in there sometimes. So thank you very much again. I want you all to take care, and God bless.